We mentioned the G20.
G20.
Did you notice how as soon as they arrived, there was an earthquake?
Yeah, small one.
Small, 3.8 magnitude, but it was pretty close to the city proper, Buenos Aires, 30 kilometers out. The strongest in that region since the 1980s. You watch world leaders assemble for family photos where they smile and wave, and at the same time are either culpable or very close to those who are culpable for actively pursuing extraordinary geopolitical events that would ordinarily maybe provoke wars that have historically. I mean, there was a time when a letter written in offense somebody, caused wars, where an affair over a woman caused a war. And these days they do gunboat issues like what we just saw, the Kerch Strait, and okay, there was no war, and there's not likely to be one, of course, because everyone in the end is too invested in keeping the whole show going. But they all like backstabbing each other in the most heinous ways. And of course, the one who got most of the bad press because he literally still had blood in his hands was MBS.
Yeah. We have a picture of Putin meeting MBS. Putin got obviously a bit of flack for more or less high-fiving MBS.
That's a bro five, they call it.
A bro fiving MBS. But look at the orange man in the background there. I mean, not that was just him coming into the room.
Orange man not happy.
But that image kind of. There's an awful lot. You could write a big long article about current geopolitical history and modern geopolitics on that image. You know what I mean? How it led up to today, and what's behind that, what's going on.
A lot of people have.
Yeah. But the G20 that they're at there is, you just mentioned it, like them smiles and shaking hands and then at the same time kind of stabbing each other in the back once they leave type thing. It's kind of like, and you mentioned it's like playing Happy Families, it's a family gathering.
They call it the family photo.
Right, it's the family photo, yeah. So, but it's like a bunch of highly narcissistic, malignantly narcissistic family members. I don't know if anybody listening has ever been to that kind of a gathering where the majority of people at a family gathering are all raging narcissists. And just watch how they all interact. And what's going on behind the scenes, and you watch how they interact. Pretty much what the G20 is. Raging narcissists get together and, live it up and talk shit about each other and then go home and try and plot each other's downfall. That's the world we live in.
What do you what do you think of what can be said about that high-fiving between Putin and MBS?
Putin and MBS. It's just... it's realpolitik, right? It's the Russian term, realpolitik. And
did he go out of his way to do the opposite to what everyone else is having to act, angry and not impressed and disappointed with MBS?
No, I think he's not gonna. Putin isn't so false, and he's not going to, make a show of things because, of course, the Brits and the French and all that kind of stuff show their apparent displeasure with Saudi Arabia over the killing of Khashoggi, and talk about sanctions. But behind it, they couldn't give a shit. They do not care one moment. All of that's just for the press and for the people to kind of make people think that they hold the moral high ground when they're all in the gutter, basically. Putin, on the other hand, by that image, it seems to me that Putin and MBS actually like each other, actually get on well. And that's why there's that kind of greeting. But Putin's not going to pretend to be annoyed or pretend that he thinks that extrajudicial killing of a citizen by a government is something unusual.
Mm-hmm.
Only naive people think that hasn't gone on for decades and doesn't go on all the time. And the other person who speaks truth about that is Trump, who said in response, he took flack for not being strong enough in his condemnation of MBS over Khashoggi. And Trump said, well, listen, if we hold everyone
to that
standard, we won't. If we hold all our allies to that standard, we won't have any allies. Which is true, because pretty much all, major, highly developed democracies and the best governments, the most free and democratic governments in the world, all of them engage in killing, extrajudicially
Yeah.
killing
They-
their
they-
own
they-
citizens and citizens of other countries.
Yeah. And emphasis also about, on other citizens in other countries, duh. But
Yeah.
even the
Even their own, yeah,
sticking
absolutely.
point is on their own political
absolutely.
business. I mean, obviously, like
Hello.
Seth Rich, probably that Hastings guy,
Right.
the UK, Pat Finucane, human rights lawyer.
We'll go back to. There's loads of people in the US. A lot of less notable. Well, what do you call him? Gary Webb. There's a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Lesser known people
Less.
who were just in the way. And
Everyone
are
knows
off-
Khashoggi
off
because
all the time because he's supposedly some kind of freedom fighter, which was completely not a horseshit. He wasn't. He was as big a jihadi supporter as anybody else in Saudi Arabia.
yeah.
He's like supposedly a Washington Times correspondent. No, he wasn't. He wrote about 6 articles for the Washington Times. That makes him a freedom fighter journalist
Washington
or something? Washington Post. That makes him a freedom fighting, lover of democracy. No, there's whole history before that.
And he was
hanging out with Bin Laden and the jihadis in the
You know that
80s in Afghanistan.
while he was writing these democracy-sounding "I love human rights" articles for the Washington Post, he was writing for Arab-speaking newspapers saying
Exactly the
exact opposite. Like, we just need to reform Islam a bit, but we're not touching the monarchy. By the way, Israel's evil,
Yeah.
which you would never say in the States,
Right.
you know. Just one thing I want to mention. The whole article is just like, what planet does he live on? Some highbrow writing for CNN. Headline: The astounding Putin-MBS high five. It really pissed people off. Like, I think what pissed them off was the freedom these two felt they had to do that when they weren't conforming to a behavior they're supposed to. No, you're both bad boys. You
The
can't.
narrative, yeah.
You look too free and sovereign,
Yeah, you
and
should-
that
yeah, you should-
irks me.
You should have big glum looks in your faces like you've done something wrong. You're both bad boys. You should look like bad boys. Go and sit in the corner.
Go and sit in the corner, yeah. Well, this guy, Julian Zelizer, professor of history at Princeton University. Big op-ed in CNN on this. The astounding Putin-MBS high five. I swear to God, he wrote, "It is as if Gilded Age corruption has reached the global stage."
Only
The
now.
implication
only
being,
now.
it never was before. It's as if the petty crimes of the commoners has entered our hallowed ranks among the elites, who are pure and would never deign to do, never mind consider such horrible acts. I mean, who are you fucking kidding? Anyway,
Bunch of freaking pedophiles.
and what about Macron? His tete-a-tete with MBS. What a
Yeah.
contrast!
Yeah, he was trying to schmooze him. I'm your bro. You never listened to me. You're a very naughty boy. Maybe I should give you a spanking. Yeah, you wish, Macron. That's the kind of the thing. That's the feels he was giving MBS.
MBS didn't look like he
listen
was
to you,
enjoying
say,
that.
Don't worry, Macron. Don't worry. Macron, who knows what he was talking about? He was caught on tape, like talking to MBS, saying he was worried, concerned about something, and that he never listens to Macron and stuff. And it's like, yeah, join the club. Nobody else listens to Macron either. But he was probably just making a show of being, being an authority.
I'm there
like,
for you if you
I'm
need
there
someone
for
to talk
you,
to.
and
Yeah,
I'm important. Macron's whole presence is going around trying to impress on people how important he is, and he looks like the least important person in the room, especially that wife of his. But anyway,
I've one piece of solid data about what actually an outcome of the G20 was. Headline last night: Russia and Saudi Arabia agreed to renew oil output cuts. That was announced by Putin in his press conference. That's a renewal of an agreement they made back in September. It's a rolling kind of 3-month agreement where they basically agreed to, keep the supply tighter, and they hope that will raise oil prices, I suppose, which has now fallen down to $50 or something, $50 a barrel.
yeah,
Putin's-
oil prices have fallen $50 a barrel, but the French people are protesting high oil prices.
Yeah, because of taxes. The taxes is 60+%, and
Right.
the taxes to be increased in January.
Well, but it's also tied to the price of oil as well.
I think that's what kind of scares them about this handshake. Saudi Arabia and Russia are working in concert regarding oil. I mean, the only reason, the ultimate central core strategic reason for Saudi Arabia being such a key ally is, of course, the petrodollar. It's the kind of oil spigot for the planet in terms of the availability of its oil.
Yeah.
So Putin's saying to the press, we are going to work together with Saudi Arabia. We're going to survey together the market situation and respond to it operationally. That's, if we were to explain why it's like kryptonite seeing them do the high five. Yeah. That's probably the gist of it, the core of it.
The power is slipping from America's grasp. It's not good. It's causing all sorts of turmoil around the world because, we more or less live in an American empire, so it can't but affect many places in the world, the whole global economy and global politics and stuff is going to be affected as America continues to lose its position, progressively lose power and lose influence around the world. It's not going to be pretty.